Hi guys and welcome. You're joining me today for a tutorial on how to make the flowers that you can either attach. You can put a safety pin on the back, a grip, shoe clips. You've got a multitude of choices of the backing that you can put on them depending on where you want them to be. I'm going to actually put a short video up before I show you how to make them of how I've used them. On the roller blind that's in my daughter's bedroom, I've simply glued them straight onto the blind. I've got a flat cap here, and they're just on safety pins. So that is just two lovely flowers on the side of my hat. Now, once again, these are some shoes, and I've literally, they're just glued straight onto the shoe. These were from a charm bracelet, a cheap, just a fashion bracelet that I just cut up to use to put in the centre of the flower. And these are just like a, it's like a sheer, it's finer than netting because it's like a soft, but it's almost like a type of mesh. And then I'm going to show you some that I've done. This one, what I've got in the centre of that's glued in was a pair of earrings. They was actually quite heavy to wear, so the struggle stopping in my ears. And then what I did with that was simply got a hair clip. So I glued the hair clip onto the back of the flower first, and then I put the felt on top of that. And then that I can either wear in my handbag, I can wear it in my hair, or I've even wore these on a pair of shoes where I've just clipped it into the front of the shoe. You've just got to be a bit careful with that. I think I might actually glue something on the end of that because it's just a little bit rough on my foot when I do wear those. So that's one. Yeah, and then I've done some different ones where I've done a satin button, and again I've got that on a clip. And that I've actually got on a safety pin, so I could clip that onto a jacket. And that's just an earring that I snapped the back off and then glued in the centre of the flower. Once again, that's a different one where I've just glued a big pearl in, and again I've got that on like a hair clip. And then this, I've actually got two of these, and these match one of the vintage handbags that I showed you where I glued these flowers on. So that could either go on a pair of shoes or it could be actually gripped in my hair. Because what to do with that is you just open the grip, stitch one side of the grip onto the felt before you actually hot glue it onto the back of the flower. So that's simple enough to do. And then another one I've got, and again this is the fabric of that Vintage Inspired dress that I made, and that was actually a brooch. So I literally just snapped the back of the brooch off so that could be just glued into the flower. Stitched a pin on the back before it was hot glued onto the flower. So that's a brooch that I would probably wear on a jacket, on a black jacket. So here you can see I've got two on my bag. Because it's a lace bag, it's got holes in, and that's simply got grips stitched onto the felt before it's hot glued onto the flower. And I've actually done the same with the shoe where it can just be put on and taken off, but it just makes that they can be worn together. This is another vintage bag, but on this one I've actually glued, the flowers are actually glued on, so they're not going to be coming off. Or that's another bag. This is also another bag, and here you can see I've done different size flowers. I've simply glued some beads in that. These, in the centre of these, is actually earrings, so I just snapped the backs off and glued them on for the centre of the flowers. These are all on pins, safety pins, so they can be took off and used elsewhere if I decided I wanted to. Let's get started then on how to make them. So you want to find something round that you can draw around. You can see the difference in sizes. You're going to get a bigger flower from this than you are from this. Okay? These are the two sizes that I've cut out this morning. Now, the last gypsy top that I made, this is the yoke that was left from the shirt. And you can see there, I have just drawn the circles for me to cut round to give me the petals. And on the yoke, it's usually double-sided, so each one of these circles I will get 2 petals from. Now, so all I'd do then is cut those out. So I've got some that I've already cut out, and I've done them in the 2 sizes that I've got. So that is from the small circle, and that is from the larger circle. And I've actually done some larger than these. When you see the video, the cream flowers that I've got on the set of drawers, I actually cut round a plant pot to get a bigger circle for those. I've just been in to get 2 of these, so you can see this was the one that gave me a big petal that came from the plant pot, and then a smaller one. Now what I originally made these for was, I used to have some voiles up in my kitchen, and I actually had these pinned on the top where it was threaded through a wire. And I had one there, one at this side, and then I think I had something coming down the middle. So with that, I've actually got it on a longer piece of felt, and then again just stitched a large safety pin on it. Now these you could literally do in groups. If like say you wanted to put a group of them on a lampshade, then you could do that, put a hair clip, and then you could clip it onto your lampshade. So there's different types of ways that you can use them. You don't have to use them in singles, you can do them in groups of several. So that's that one. So I'm going to thread my needle up, and what you need to bear in mind is, if you're going to think about making some of these, is if you are thinking of doing a thicker fabric, when you actually come to pull these to make the flower, you're going to get a bigger hole in the centre. Because the fabric's thicker, it's not going to want to pull as tight as a sheer or thin fabric would want to do. So you just need to take that into consideration, but it doesn't have to stop you, because you can still put something like a large button, or just something like an earring even, something in the centre that's going to cover that hole that's going to be there. So I'm going to start off with the small one, and what you're going to do, you're going to fold your circle in half. Okay, so I've just folded that in half. You're then going to fold it in half again. So basically you've got a quarter there, and this is going to make your first petal. You're going to get your needle and thread, and where you've got your raw edges where you've cut, you're going to just literally keep threading that through until you get to the end of the petal. So just keep threading that through, and then I've got the first petal. I'm going to get the second one, and you need 5 petals to make your flower. I have tried it with 6 once, but it didn't turn out quite as nice as the 5 petal one. And if you're going to do something with like a floral design in, as you're folding it, if there's a particular part of the pattern that you want to see on the front of your flower, take that into consideration, that you're going to put them all the same way when you're threading your cotton through. Make sure that all your 4 edges are almost together down the side here as you're sewing it. Right, one more. And again, these have just been cut out of the yoke because I did one of these shirts, made it into a gypsy style top. So what I'm going to do now, that I've got my 5 petals on there, and I'm just going to put the cotton through, and then I'm going to start pulling that. Make sure that all the petals go in the same way, and just keep pulling and pulling and pulling. You want to be doing this with quite strong thread, by the way, so that it doesn't come undone. And once you've got it as tight as you can get it, I'm literally going to tie that in a knot. I'm just going to put that cotton through, tie it in a knot. I'm going to do that a few times so that hopefully it's not going to come undone. And then I'm going to snip that cotton off. And then that is your flower. Right, so let me just do one of the bigger ones. And you can see the difference in the flowers that it makes. And like I said, you can use anything for a template so long as it's round. And obviously you want different sizes if you want different size flowers. Okay, so I've got a bigger one here. And I would say that's probably about 4 inch in diameter, that. And then that one is probably 2.5, maybe 3. So once again, I folded it in half again, so I've got my quarters. And when you're doing this, you want to, what I'm doing now, when I'm actually tacking it, you want to be doing it quite close to your edge, because this will be glued in with whatever you're going to put in the centre. So you don't want to come too far into the petal because you'll end up seeing it. That's 1, that's 2. I think what I might do with these, I think I'm actually going to get some shoe clips so that I can actually clip them onto some shoes when I'm actually wearing the gypsy top that I've got. And you can just see there where the needle is, how close to the edge that I'm tacking in. And then I'm going to get the other end of the cotton, and then I'm going to tie it through and start pulling it together again. And again, pulling it as tight as you can, because the tighter you can get it, the smaller your hole's going to be in the centre of the flower. Putting that on my knee so I can just make sure that I get a couple of knots in that. And then I'm going to just cut that off again. And then that is my slightly larger flower. So with the smaller one and the larger one there, you can, if I put them on like 2 different clips, you could probably have maybe the big one on the heel of a shoe. Let me just show you on that. So you could probably have that maybe there, and then a smaller one, or you've got an option to put them coming both down your heel there, and having a plain front there. So with these, all that's left to do is literally to hot glue something in the centre, because you need that all covering up. So I've just been looking through my buttons and I've come across these little anchor ones, but they are actually too small to cover the centre of the flowers perfectly. So I've sorted some white buttons, and I'm going to actually get the middle of that button drill a hole in, so that the back of that, you can just see there's a bit of a, will sit in the white button and can be glued in, so it's just making the button look bigger, and then that can be glued straight on top, and it'll just look a bit more rockabilly because it's got the anchors in. So that's what I'm going to do with these, the centre of these flowers. So I've had the back of these buttons drilled. As you can see, it's a much bigger hole, so that now my anchor buttons will sit in and they sit flush to the button, so it doesn't look, it looks like one button. So I'm just going to start here by actually just putting some hot glue around that hole, and then I'm just going to squeeze the anchor button in place. Any loose glue that comes off, just literally pull it off. Okay, and then that's one button done. I'm going to get the next one, and I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm just going to put glue around the centre there, and then I'm just going to stick the anchor button straight through the centre, and then that, it's actually just looks like one button instead of two. So I've got 4 of these to do. Just got a little bit there, so let me just pull that off. You can see it's a bit messy with the little stringy bits of glue, and then just some round this one. Okay, so that is the last one done. Then what I'm going to do then, I'm going to grab one of the big ones, so that's the big flower. Where you've got your little hole there, you're going to press that down, so it's all nice smartly together. And then on the back of the button here, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some glue, and literally that's just in the centre of the button, and then I'm just going to press that in place onto the flower. Just press that down, get rid of the little stringy bit, and that is the centre of my flower. So again, so when you're doing this, if you, like I say, if you've got a floral design, then that's obviously going to be the front of your flower. So sometimes one side might be look nicer than the other. So just decide which side you want. Glue your button, pressing all that in, like I said, in the middle, pressing that in place. So again, I'm going to make sure that they're all, it's all laying flat, so that when I put the button on, it's got a good flat surface to glue to. And then on the back of this one, you can just see there where it didn't get caught when I was tacking it, but that will be covered up when the felt's glued onto it, so don't worry about it if you miss a bit, because sometimes, depending if it's not being folded quite, you know, perfect to the quarter, then that can happen. Or sometimes, even if you've not got enough fabric to make your circle, but you're short of one petal, then you can get away with it being short. Let me just decide which is the, I'm going to put that there because it's the better side to the other side. So I've glued that bit that was loose there, I've actually glued it under the button there, so you can just see that it still ended up being a perfect flower. So on the back, what you would do, I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to show you so that you know exactly what you're doing. That is the felt, it's felt circle that will go on the back of one of the flowers. So what I would do, you'd get a safety pin roughly to the size of the circle, And then what you do is open the safety pin up. Okay, so this side here you would put on the felt there, like so, and then you would stitch that bottom bar in place onto there. And then once that's done, so imagine that's stitched on, perfect, you would put glue on the back and literally gluing it straight back onto the flower. And whether you went for grips or safety pins, you would stitch it on first, glue the back, glue it onto your flower, and then it's finished. That would be your finished flower. But like I say, I'm not going to put these on. I've just done it basically for the purpose of showing you, because I want to get some proper shoe clips so that when they're on, they're actually going to be quite comfortable. You obviously need some felt, and it doesn't matter what colour felt you put on because you're not going to see it. It's on the back of the flower. And you want to try and cut it. Let me just get something so I can show you sizes. So that when you do the sizes, you're not going to see it on the front corners of the petal. So you want to make your circle, or whether you do, that one's a double one that I've done. So there's 2 flowers there, and what I've done is it's a longer piece of felt that's glued on to keep both the flowers together, and then I've got it on like a hair slide. So just bear that in mind, that when you do your back, you want it to be smaller than your flower. And when I've done this clip, I've glued the clip on the back of the flower first. So first of all, you glue your centering of the flower, whatever you go for, whether it's a button, an earring, a brooch, whatever you want to put in the middle, glue that on first, then your front's finished. On the back, if you're doing a hair grip, glue the top of the clip onto the flower, right? So that's the wrong side, that's the top of the grip. Then you glue your felt on top of that, and then that is finished, complete. So it's centre, clip, felt, done. And you can make them out of so many things, but like I said, just bear in mind, if you've got some thick fabric, instead of having a small hole in the centre, like, where's my other one gone? Like these two, you can easily cover them up. But if you've got a thicker fabric, your hole will be a lot bigger than that, and then you've got to go for something bigger to sit in the middle. But you can see there, because this was fine, and this is a large one, you can see that's my large one in the Gingham, but if you look at the size of that, it's a lot bigger. And you can layer them, you know, like with that, you could put a smaller one on top of that so that you've got something like that, if that's what you want to do. Even in different colours, you can mix and match. Let your imagination run wild. If you've got any questions, please ask me in the comments below. So thanks for watching, guys. Take care and see you soon. Bye for now.